everyone, it's Matt from Train Sim Society and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. So today we're diving into a brand new Loco DLC from the one and only Just Trains. This is the BR Class 86/2 for TSW5, one of our last DLCs before we move on to TSW6. But before we get into it, a quick disclaimer. This is a review and not a full overview. So I'm not going to be showing every single feature or detail a part of this DLC. If you're looking for a full walkthrough or visual breakdown of every asset a part of this isn't the video for that. But what I am doing is giving you a proper review. I'll be telling you what's included with this, what stood out in my opinion, and whether I think it's worth your money. So let's start off with the Loco itself, the BR Class 86/2. So this is based on the AL6 design from the 1960s, basically one of the earliest mass-produced AC electrics for British Rail. With 100 units built and a top speed around 100 miles per hour, this specific subclass, the 86/2, came about after they modified the suspension to reduce rough riding and wear on the track. Now, if you've already got experience with the Class 87 in-game, the 86 might look pretty familiar, and I can admit when you place them side by side, it's not a night and day difference, but driving them is a different story. So the 86/2 definitely feels a lot less powerful. It takes longer to get up to speed, and you really have to think about how you're applying power, especially if you're on an incline going up Shap. I had several runs where I noticed that even with full power, I wasn't gaining speed the way I expected to, and I actually love that. This Loco is way easier to overload if you're too aggressive with the tap changer and you're applying taps too fast. So if you're at a dead stop or crawling at a low speed and you increase too many taps too quickly, yeah, good luck. But if you like that kind of challenge, this Loco has it. Now, while we're on the topic of tap changers, let's talk about the controls a little bit. This part will be essential if you're a new player to tap controls. So if you've never used a tap changer before, definitely don't stress. It does look intimidating at first, but honestly, it's not that bad once you get into it. The tutorials in-game walk you through it, and the preview streams from Dovetail for both this Loco DLC and the route itself do a good job at showing how it works. Plus, there is a manual from Just Trains available if you want the entire breakdown. But with that said, I have to say this, I wish there was a toggle in the settings for notch up. Right now, as it stands, when you want to increase the taps, you have to press and hold the input to stay in notch up. If you let go, it drops you back into run up. In my opinion, that makes it super frustrating if you're using a rail driver or a custom controller, because you have to kind of pump the lever up and down constantly. I wish there was a setting where you could just click into notch up and have it stay there until you manually notch down. I feel like that would make this whole system feel a lot smoother and more accessible, honestly, but that's not really a critique for Just Trains. That's more to Dovetail. Now let's talk about scenarios and gameplay content. So with this pack, you're going to receive 5 scenarios, and no, I'm not going to spoil them. This is literally the only fresh gameplay content you're getting in this entire DLC, and I want players to be able to enjoy it without having the surprise ruined. But I will say this, these scenarios are pretty long. These aren't short little yard moves or 20-minute runs. Every single one of the 5 scenarios is over an hour, with a few pushing an hour and a half. So total, you're looking at around 6+ hours of scenario gameplay, give or take, which I think is pretty good. Now, outside of that, there are no new services, just forced substitutions into the existing timetable. So the logo can show up in the West Coast mainline timetable where the Class 87 usually runs, but that's about it. It's kind of a bummer, especially when you're paying this much for a standalone logo pack. For $25, I definitely expected more gameplay variety. Now, in terms of visuals, the modeling here is excellent. It is exquisite, to use a better word. The 86/2 is packed with little touches inside and out. The cab of this thing, just like with the 87, is crazy detailed. You can zoom all the way in on the tab handles, and the tape wraps that go around them don't degrade in quality. There's no pixelation or anything, so everything is very, very high res. The triple front windows also give you a really nice panoramic like view. That's actually one of the things I like more about this logo compared to the 87. It just feels more immersive when you're in the cab. I really like the suspension on the new coaches as well. They're very bouncy, and when going around curves and turns, you don't get any weird gangway glitches between the cars. I'd say things are very solid visually. And speaking of coaches, we have to talk about the snack car, or I guess the cafe car, if that's what it's called. So the included rolling stock here is all top tier in my opinion. You've got the MK2F coaches in FO, TSO, and BSO configurations with both blue-gray and intercity liveries, and they all look great. But the cafe car, or the buffet car, I don't even know what it's called, the MK1 RMB is amazing. It is so detailed. You've got snacks on the shelves, bottles in the back, a modeled steward character. The food is so high res, it looks edible. It doesn't look like mush. They did a really, really good job here. And this one car alone honestly went a long way in swaying me toward liking this DLC a lot more. And this is one of the places the effort shines, so I really, really respect that. Now, as far as sound design, they absolutely crushed it. Now, I'm not from the US, so I can't personally tell you whether the horn or traction sounds are 100% accurate to real life, but from a technical standpoint, this is probably some of the cleanest audio I've heard in TSW. There's no looping, no distortion, no weird transitions between camera views. The brake squeal sounds are amazing, especially in external view, and nothing really feels rushed or cheap here, which is what I expected from a Just Trains release. The coach rolling sounds are good, the driver to guard buzzer works properly and sounds great, and the AI trains honk as they leave stations. I know this was a detail that was included in the original release of this route and in the 87, but of course that carries over here. But these are all the details that stick out the most to me. I will say there were some weird things happening to the traction sounds when the game stutters, but honestly, this happens on literally every route when it's loading a new chunk of the map. The sounds usually kind of cut out and stutter along with the visuals, so I'm not really gonna fault the DLC for that, as that's a core problem. But hey, Dovetail, if you're watching, I definitely think we need work in that department, DLC aside. Now, in terms of performance, I actually didn't run into a single bug. I didn't encounter any physics issues, no broken sounds other than the squelching, I think is what players have been calling it every time the game stutters. But that's not really a DLC problem, because for as long as my game isn't actually stuttering or hitching, there's nothing wrong with the sound. So clearly that's a core problem and not a Just Trains problem. There were no visuals popping in and out, and I spent quite a few hours walking around, running services and playing scenarios, so I think all of that definitely deserves credit here. Now, I want to talk about the value of this thing. So I'm kind of on the fence. Now, if this were a Dovetail DLC, I'd tell you to wait for a sale. The price tag feels too steep for what you're actually getting here. $25 for a logo with 5 scenarios and no new services is a tough sell in my opinion, especially when you compare it to full route DLCs that cost just a little bit bit more and come with maybe multiple locos and complete timetables, sometimes multiple timetables. But because it's just trains and because their quality is consistently good, I definitely can't say to just skip it. Yes, I wish it were a little cheaper, like maybe $17.99 or $18.99 US dollars perhaps, or maybe even $20 maximum. Even that would have felt way more appropriate for what's here. But at the end of the day, what you are getting is incredibly well made, very polished. For me at least, was bug-free. That may not be the case for you, but I can assure you that bugs will probably be to a minimum, as they usually are with Just Trains content, and it just does sound and look great. I think if you're a hardcore fan of British traction, or you've been waiting for another tap changer loco to master, I think you're going to love this, and I think it is worth picking up. It has the depth and character and definitely feels different enough from the Class 87 to keep it interesting. For casual players though, or maybe international folks like me, I think you probably should hold off for a sale though. But even with all of that said, I gotta give this pack a 5 out of 5 because the execution was absolutely flawless. That's the thing about Just Trains, is they always do the damn thing, and they definitely did it here again. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know below in the comments, did you pick this one up, or are you waiting for a sale, and what are your thoughts on this loco add-on from Just Trains? That's gonna be it from me for this video. As always, thank you guys so much for clicking and watching. Take care and happy real simming.